the human is so brilliant. The body is so sophisticated, and we just need to learn how to drive this beautiful ship. And we're just not there yet, but we're getting close.
Hello, and welcome to the Seeker Solution Summit, where you can discover who you are on deeper levels to create more freedom, joy, and abundance. I'm Suara, and I'm so excited to introduce to you today Shannon Pardini. Shannon is a pioneer and expert in DNA intelligence. She is a DNA activator, self-taught ascension guide, and hypnotist, and has spent many years as a practitioner and educator of neurofeedback. She has spent time healing with a mystic kahuna. She's a certified Usui and celestial Reiki healer, certified DNA and theta healer, and a certified Hatha yogi of 25 years. Shamanism, meditation, and energy medicine have been a very natural part of her practice and tool for her that supports her and others in awakening to the truth within. Thank you, Shannon, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to join you and your community, and I just love chatting with you. So this friendship that we're expanding on is just such a blessing. So thank you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. So our audience, they are seekers. We all love learning new modalities and learning more about ourselves. And considering all the work that you do, the different aspects of it, can you please tell us more about your journey? How did you get to the work that you're doing?
Yeah, of course. So it's been a long spiritual boot camp of a journey. I came in as a walk-in, and I think a lot of people know what a walk-in is. And I won't go too deep into detail about that because I don't like to jump into identity too much of what we are, because we're all so expansive. But from that little voyage in, from a near-death experience of drowning in a pool as a little girl, I did do a little bit of a soul swap. And when those are the years I remember through awakening, and it was always clear to me that everything was backwards, and I think a lot of us as healers and, the luminaries that are coming through today, it's one of those things where we walk that healer's path, and a lot of the belief systems and the timelines that we co-create during this particular lifetime haven't always been easy, right? We've had to expand on these really deep belief systems and frequencies within our bodies that we are, really just trying to eradicate so we don't keep co-creating in. So yeah, so there was that experience, and I just was a very awake child. I could always look at people in a multisensory way, know what they were feeling, and taking that in, right? We take it into our bodies, which it didn't feel too good, but there was just this deep intuition of what was happening around me and, the community. From there, later on, teenage years, same thing. I was a bit of a wild child. School was never that exciting for me. Again, like the classes, history, government, even math, like nothing felt real. It just felt, it wasn't in flow with the communication that I was getting. And so from there, it's just, I went about being a very open-minded teenager, and I just never explored school. I went to the school, I guess, of hard knocks, where I found my own path. And so at a very young age, I started working at a stock brokerage. At 19, 20, I started jumping into the medical field. From there, the spiritual journey was always very much alive. I was, being situated with just very expansive luminary minds, but I was also in this very logical, left side of the brain fields, and spent 15 years in the medical industry. From there, I knew I didn't want to be a part of it anymore, and jumped into filmmaking, started running a film studio where it took me all over the globe, interviewing, doing all kinds of micro documentaries. But again, that side of the healer aspect was very much alive throughout this weave and thread. And so, Yeah, that's just kind of my journey is I worked with Mystic Kahuna. I got into energy medicines at a very young age in my 20s, and it all intertwined with these different types of businesses.
Wow.
So already being a seer and open, you could see again that looping system, right? That backwards of the matrix and so forth. So it's been expansive and it's led me to where I am today, where I teach people how to ascend their bodies and really understand what it takes to just master the software system, inside us, so we can really get these bodies that we know that we're all activating now, right? Online and just prove what is possible if we can get out of all these old belief systems and so forth.
Yeah, beautiful. So it sounds to me you were really like that ultimate fish out of water. And, the fishbowl was this experience, this earth. And there was something inside of you that was already very awake, alive to spiritual truth and being able to see that, even perceive it. So that is pretty amazing being a young person, having that type of experience. But it sounds like you took some of your path in a road where, okay, I'm going to plug into some of this left brain area, try these things out, but the spiritual side was still speaking to you and coming through. You're seeing things. When did that, become more of the dominant work that you were doing as opposed to the studio and, stock brokering and all that kind of thing? What was that? What was that transition and how did you get to that?
Yeah, it was just again always very much alive. The business side of stuff never it was fun and it was organized and it kept a part of me active and vibrant, but the multi-dimensional side was always there. And so I'd say that just came on very young. I'm one of those people, which I think, again, like many of us, I had communication. There was always a communication. I could hear, I could see, and I trusted it. It wasn't foreign to me. It wasn't anything that I did not think was my truth. It was actually the thread that always stayed within me, is being in that integrity to know. I was always so curious, and the unseen world was never unseen to me. It was very much a big part of my life because of the way that I could feel it and how it led me. And so again, it was still that very young teenage years, and then moving into the 20s is when I really just wanted to explore all the energy medicines. And when I did, Reiki was a very interesting experience. When I was getting attuned to that, I was already really deep in my yoga advanced studies, but the Reiki ceremony, once those symbols got activated, it led me into such a different field over the next several days, where again, every time I jumped into something that was whether it was spiritual certification or just getting attuned, on my own through anomalies, it was just always verification. And
Yeah.
it was so much more truth than anything else I was experiencing in this lifetime. So it just rang true that I know how powerful and I know how whole we are at the very core of all of this. And that's what I was seeking.
Beautiful, beautiful. They say that our journeys to get to where we are, to teach especially, it all feeds into and speaks to and informs what it is that we teach. So, considering that, thank you so much for sharing your journey. So, we have a peek into that background and into those parts and pieces. And so, moving on to that next step, what is it that you bring forward? What do you feel like your soul was telling you to do to bring forward for other people as well in service and your personal expression?
Yeah, I love that. For me, I knew that I could heal. And what do I mean by that? I could heal others. I knew it was going to take mastering myself and what this actually is to be in an embodiment here. But I also knew that there's capability for all of us to fully attune and to help others on a very high level. And I think, throughout my journey and all the luminaries, all the wonderful teachers that I've worked with or co-authored with and so forth, there's just a part of me that wants to stay in this pure field of integrity in all ways. And so I think with the business side of it too, it really rang true where, I got to work in all these different businesses where you do have to use multidimensional skills. And at the same time, you have to plug in and bring a very healing vibe on the leadership levels I was working, right? And so again, I think for me, when I think of this like in a whole, is I knew I was always being put in leadership roles, whether I wanted to or not. And I understood the capability that I knew I could master what it takes to go within and heal and purify and be an embodiment of source.
Mhm.
And that's where I am now. I've been, all that mastery has been leading and facilitating others to move their bodies and their consciousness into ascension and really understanding what that means.
Yeah, beautiful. When you were talking about the mastery and you mentioned something about a pure energy, I actually felt even in this room right now, like the shift of I felt that pure energy that you're talking about and how that can take you to embodiment and that takes you to another level. At least it felt like another level right now. Something just shifted. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And just you speaking that, you're sending the attunement right back to me because I can feel the chills and the truth of, yeah, that's the purity of our own, source, the intelligence within each and every one of us. And it does require a level of, everything you and I have been through of attuning ourselves till the physical body can actually hold that type of consciousness, right?
Yeah.
So, and what's so cool nowadays is we are learning that it's embodiment that's going to take us there, right? We've been so outside of ourselves for a long time. And again, it's never going to get us to where we want to be. And that's another thing that I love facilitating and teaching, the different ways that I do, whether it's through meditative hypnosis clearing, or if I'm just teaching in a very philosophical, somewhat abstract way to get people to understand how this vehicle works.
Yeah.
But again, once you have access to what you just described, there's no going backwards for us.
Yeah.
And it very much is an inward connection that is fully whole. It produces all the energy and bandwidth that we need. And it brings on so much clarity in the multidimensional world where you don't have to be in all these dimensions. You very much can be in this accelerated, advanced body and have the greatest experiences because you're co-creating in fresh timelines that are innately you.
Wow, that's powerful what you just said. Yeah, that's incredible. And so I hope that our audience really can feel this energy, but also understand those layers of what you just said. That was incredible.
Thank
And
you.
I just want to ask more about that. Like, can you tell us more? Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me think where my body wants to,
Yeah.
co-create this from is, again, each and every one of us is just innate genius. If I had to go to that source that we just talked about, and me being able to teach on this level, I always call it that we're activating the innate genius within us, and that's our soul. And it wants to be a part of the embodiment so everything can click on in this physical experience. And again, a lot of us think this is so black and white and so forth, but it's not when we allow ourselves to fully realize what we're being shown, right? I think there's such a level, and I'm just going to go there on this planet of narrative and mind control. And it's very easy to control the DNA and have it, keep playing out these old frequencies of limited beliefs and looping systems, which completely create chemicals and, all this stuff that's not organic to that innate genius that I was talking about. And we all know it's not us. Like each and every one of us, I think, especially too in the unfolding of the healer, the way shower, we realize, we're doing all this work, but we realize these limited beliefs. We get to the point that we've mastered them so much in the external and
Mhm.
understanding them, but we're like, what's next? And so now it's such a cool time because we are understanding how DNA is a big role in this, how it is our software system. And there is a way to fully realize how to work within and allow our machinery, I don't know what else to call this, this beautiful body that has everything technology wise for us to just go to that innate genius. And so, yeah, that's again, the human is so brilliant. The body is so sophisticated, and we just need to learn how to drive this beautiful ship. And we're just not there yet, but we're getting close.
Yeah.
And defining what that is, well, it's really, again, it's embodying frequency that is so beyond the matrix frequencies. And when I say matrix, it's very simple. It's just limitation, it's limited beliefs, it's all this narrative, it's everything that we're looking at that we think we're seeing.
Yeah.
And just going beyond that, because each and every one of us has had sensory enough to know that there's that wholeness. Again, I truly believe, like, if you ever ask people, do you think you could fully, self-realize and heal themselves? Most are going to say yes, especially the ones that are on this call and just in the practice of ascending themselves. And so again, now we just go deeper. We go deeper into the anatomy and the physicalness of what this is, and we explore there where the realization is, yeah, we got to attune these beautiful vehicles to become the purest like instrument. And when all those notes or frequencies are firing at the level that we know they're capable of beyond the matrix frequencies, the body just radiates and so forth.
Beautiful. The way that you're describing it, it sounds to me that you use a lot of different pathways in that there is the physical body, the DNA, belief systems, hypnosis, energy work, that there's a lot of different ways that you kind of get into what is a deeper truth inside of us, peeling away the limitations that we might have embodied, holding on to energetically, whatever that is. Considering all those different ways that you have in to help people to get into something deeper inside. What right now is your favorite way of working? And then what does that look like for a person? How do you work with someone?
Yeah, no, I work in all the ways, and that's what's fun because each person is so different as to how they want to attune and what they're ready to hear, depending on where they are consciously.
Beautiful.
Right. But my favorite ways, honestly, is I spend, almost 4 hours, 4 times a week in hypnosis clearing. And I think the word hypnosis is kind of jarring. It's more just, again, putting us in a meditative state. And my body's holding a field of that innate soul, that genius. And so I'm able to hold a field where I'll take people through a belief system. Once I can understand what they're chemically looping in, and it's just been co-created in this particular lifetime, it's the same loop, right? That's carryover in other lifetimes, but it's looping in the child, their situation. Once I can grab that stuff, which I can figure out really fast, I take them through that belief system. And so I walk them down all the different frequencies of that particular belief system and
Mhm.
how it's storing within the body. And then I take them, I'll even bypass some of it when I get to the root, because sometimes it's such a rock or it's so traumatic for them that they don't want to go, where I'll just guide them. I can pull them even deeper into just that purity of where they are, where they can feel the groundedness, and that there's so much intelligence in that very be like even below the root. And so through meditation that way, and the clearing and hypnosis I do, after a few times, they're like, oh, I get this, right? At first, it's going to be traumatic. Not traumatic, but they're there, right? There's a certain amount you need to clean up until they're actually present. And so after you've done it a couple times, then there actually can be in that presence of walking from conscious into the subconscious. And I explain everything as I'm walking through all these different frequencies. I'm explaining to them how it's been co-created and how it's storing. And then I have them look up at it once we're locked in to that innate presence of them, and they can just see it. And then I have other techniques that I use to go in and to clear it and override. But I have a lot of fun teaching like that in group settings, individual. Um, and like I said, it's everyone is so individual that I feel so blessed with the clientele that I've had over the years because they show me, right? They show me how to go in and explain something that is so completely abstract, and we have to learn how to use our body in a whole new way. But they show me exactly how to do it. And that's what's showing up day to day is just like, again, I have these masters coming in, but I just have to tweak things a little bit so they understand. And then they show me how they learn, which is cool.
That's beautiful because it sounds like it's so guided, it's so present, real, personalized in some kind of way. It has to be because we're talking about it's your body, it's your guide, your energy. But I love that. I think that it really meets people where they're at. It's very honoring in that kind of way. So that's beautiful. And it's such a leap of faith for you too to just kind of go into those waters. I'm going to jump and I'm going to trust whatever comes up and it'll be guided. So that's fantastic. So if somebody is new to this, wherever they end up being, like as you're working with them and their guides and their bodies and everything else, what would be maybe like a good piece of advice for folks as they're starting this path?
Yeah, just to let everything go. We have to unlearn everything. And so it doesn't have to be scary. It's just that if you're going to jump in and want to master yourself in ascension, it's fully embodying intelligent frequencies. And so you have to let go of what you've ever learned. You can't bring that in. It's always going to be your tool belt, and it'll always be information that you can assess your experience with. But anytime that you're trying to advance who you are and so forth, there's just you got to let that go. You got to let that self of you, it's not going to die. It's just that part of you, you're no longer going to be an identity and ego because it's not going to get you anywhere. The more you stay in that identity and ego, it's just keeping you in this very surface 3D level of how you're viewing and experiencing your life. But if you want to co-create and really shift timelines, there is nothing outside of yourself. And so we have to get back in here. And to gain that presence and that authentic, you have to learn it in what it is in frequency. And so again, that's you have to completely leave everything behind because again, it's so much more smarter than you could ever imagine with the work that you'll be embodying in the physical body.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And so I know that you said like every person, they're different, every path is different, every healing is different. But considering the information that's coming through, where do you feel like we're heading? You've talked about ascension and letting things go behind so we can get what is that thing that's coming up next?
Well, that's the mastery of it all is when you can turn your beautiful vehicle online where you're in the complete presence and intelligence of who you are. Just again, going back to that innate genius frequency that I'm talking about, that knowing, the knowing that we are whole, but getting that body to a place where it actually can become that frequency. Where we're heading, I think right now, with some of us actually activating that and being that presence of source, um, what I see every day is for me, it's easy to go into the matrix and just assess it for information. That's all it is. And it's so easy to catch narratives. It's so easy to catch looping chemical reactions. It's all the limitations that what our environment is doing. It's easy to see how the foundation has been built on quicksand. And so what does that do for us? Well, it surely advances you because the more that you know that the human experience is all frequency, it shifts your timelines and you hold a higher state of being that it attunes and shifts everything around you. And so there's no doubt that we're moving into that time where, again, you know, we've been so much more advanced than this. And but what's so fun is that we get to do this.
Yeah.
We get to do it at a very physical level and then go back to that, you know, advanced society that we've explored, I'm sure, many, many times. So for me, I think what's so cool about this time is we get to read the narratives and information all around us. We get to see the people, places, and things just as the Matrix is presenting it in these lower, it's all in the looping system. It's all in these lower fields of frequency of all the belief systems, and they're always around survival and suffering. There's, you know, on planet, there's a, people don't like to hear this, but there's an addiction to the frequency of survival and suffering because we've never established within this beautiful body light ship frequencies that are higher. So why would it co-create those timelines? Right. But again, you can feel and know that we are shifting together because this is a total attunement of, you know, consciousness waking up. And so I love where we're going. And, you know, for the next 10 years, I think it's just going to be this beautiful awakening process. And there's so much out there, you know, where there's all these different types of healers and everyone thinks they know this, that, and the other, but it's all coming from their own programming, you know. And I think what's going to happen is we're all becoming, you know, just within ourselves that I hope, you know, people realize how powerful they truly are and that all the information that they ever want is right inside them. They just have to become that field as source. And then you can see the truth of everything around you is that everyone who's an expert, it's just coming from their own programming. And we can be so much more advanced than that. And so that's where I hope we're all going, you know, where we can all facilitate together. And so for me, I hope that, I know this is really long, that people find that the purity and authenticity to be exciting to want to activate within this whole existence.
I love what you just said. It's such a message of empowerment that it's all here and connection, and that we are meant to do this together and like let our light bounce off each other and shine together. It's so beautiful what you said. It's so powerful. And it fills me really a lot with hope right now. And there's this energy of like, yeah, this is, you call this time a cool time to be. It is cool. Yeah. Like it feels really good. So that's beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So like I have tears in my eyes. I'm trying to get myself back together.
I do. I
Um,
truly feel like how lucky are we to have this experience? We all know that, you know, our software as our own quantum body is, we're all running in this physical, right? We're having this physical experience, even though it's holographic. But again, it's to even like sit here and describe that, where a lot of us can be like, yeah, totally, you know, I get this. It is. And I honor all of it. It's some of it is so ridiculous out there and sad, but at the same time, it's what we're co-creating through our DNA. So that's why we want to get everything nice, spick and span, and in that beautiful innate genius that we are, because we can totally attune to something different, and that's amazing, absolutely amazing.
That is amazing. It is amazing. And so, something that's really big out there in the world right now is this idea of law of attraction and manifestation. And you've taken that in this conversation to a next level of co-creating even together. Can you tell us more about that? How do you assist people in unlocking that part within themselves? And how does it marry with things like law of attraction and manifestation out there in the world?
Yeah, you know, again, is when people come and work with me, there's already a certain mastery to them, but they know that the law of attraction doesn't work. Currently, the way the law of attraction is out there, it's all based on the matrix. And, when, it's like these repeated affirmations, or I'm going to hold this field until it, what I want to manifest comes through. But again, we see it may work for some people, but it doesn't. It's like you'll hold on to whatever that abundance is that you're manifesting, but people can't keep it consistent. And again, it's because we're still programmed. These bodies are programmed in so many frequencies of our limited beliefs. And so that goes hand in hand. You can't just bypass that. This stuff has to be looked at and, fully just again shifted within the experience to co-create really pure timelines. And so this takes time. Ascending the body, I've been taking people through 2 years through a particular series that I co-created with another partner, and it really takes 3 months to master all the details of how the body can go through embodiment and hold that innate genius frequency that I speak about. And there's so many details to it that I'm keeping it really general here. But again, it's all possible, but we have to unlearn and we have to deprogram and we have to learn to truly be that multidimensional, to catch how we're interpreting everything around us. And usually right now we're doing it just straight from our programming. No matter how high status we are or wherever we are, it's still, there's this programming that needs to be resolved. And again, that's what we're here for. We are advancing. There's so much human potential out there to complete. I don't even know what we would look like if we were running our DNA at full capacity, right? It's just like, to me, I think we would just be the pure frequency, So again, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And because I totally agree with you. There are parts of things like law of attraction that are really beautiful, but it's not the whole picture. So being able to dimensionalize it with even more information and understanding around how it's working within our bodies, what we're carrying around with us, and is it just another form of suppression if it's misused, that type of thing. Like, I think it's really important to get that type of, to get that information out there and to bring some understanding around it so people can just look at that a little bit more deeply.
Well, you make a good point. Again, if anything's in programming, it's in the matrix. And that's not what we were equipped and built to be. We're actually, each and every one of us has this innate frequency that we can hold beyond anything that's ever been created in the matrix. There's a higher field for us to get our DNA activated to, where that's where we want to be co-creating from. And when their body's running like very little program, zero, that's again, creation of what you truly are, and that innate genius is what comes through. And that's what, this world would start being built upon, is very purity of the source that wants to come through.
Yeah, beautiful. Such a message of hope and potential. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be in this time. We're coming very close to the end of our time. Is there anything else that you want to share with us, just as a last message to the group that might be good to know?
Yeah, again, just be gentle. It's a gentle time. Don't get too caught up in the environment, the identity, the ego. Yes, everything that we're seeing outside of ourselves, they're coming from the same belief systems of survival and suffering and fear of death and all that. But we don't need to be in this reincarnation loop anymore. Again, we are so much more advanced if we truly learn how to use DNA, and that is coming. And so for all of you out there, be gentle. Know that ascension is not going to happen overnight. It is a full body embodiment experience to actually hold that frequency that is your soul. And yeah, I'll just leave it leave it at that. Again, it's you guys truly know the genius in being here at this time. There's so much that we can do together to co-create something new that's just ready for us because we all can feel it.
Yeah, we can feel it. Well, thank you so much for that. And before we go, I understand that you have brought with you a free gift. Can you please tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave one of my it's a little part of hypnosis and clearing, but I'm going to leave from a classroom that I taught, probably like 15 or 20 minutes, where you guys get to walk down a belief system and see how the information stores. And so it's, again, just gives you a little taste of having that opportunity to just drop inside, walk down a particular belief system, see how that frequency is moving through your body, and then we'll go in and do a little clearing around it.
Wow, that's powerful. It sounds like a really useful tool to have. I can't wait to check it out myself and walk down my beliefs. So thank you so much for that. That's very generous. And I also want to thank you for being here today, sharing your wisdom, your insight, and your pure energy. This energy that's coming through is really amazing. So thank
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just love you and adore you. And so I just look forward to more co-creation with you. And I appreciate you for having me on your show. I just am excited to meet your community. And yeah, I love you. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And to the audience out there, I hope that you have found this talk to be inspiring and it's brought some insight. And join us again tomorrow as we talk about another modality, another form of healing, another way to get in touch with yourself and find the deeper truth inside. And I'll see you there. Bye bye.